Hello and welcome to our season finale review of Doom Patrol Season 2 on HBO Max and DC Universe. My name is Sam Basher.
I'm DJ Woldridge.
And we're going to be diving into Wax Patrol, what was supposed to be just the 9th episode of Season 2, but it ended up being the finale, and it kind of feels that way a little bit. But still, very enjoyable episode. And we do not have a official synopsis because we are recording this ahead of time. As you can tell, I have the same hair and headband from each of the reviews. But hey, we did the effort of changing our shirts.
Yeah, we tried.
What can you ask from us? Trying our best. But quick rundown of all the big events. We have Cliff having to miss his daughter's wedding, which that stung, and the team having to face off against their own imaginary friends,
which was awesome.
And also maybe diving into Larry not having one, or maybe they just saved themselves some trouble creating it. Also, Rita faces Mademoiselle Roxy, Vic faces Dr. Cowboy, Cliff faces Jesus, and we learn more about Miranda. And it's not so good for the underground. The big B plot for this is Miranda's backstory after she escaped from the well. She faked it. She hid the bunny. She hid the note for her dad. Is what I'm guessing. If he'd ever gone down there to look. We learn about her relationship with a gentleman, and he seems okay. But we have to know that this can't last. This can't last. And it's like really sweet as it starts to evolve, but ends up pressuring her into being a part of an orgy. And that's a pretty rough overall scene. You see more like sex-driven personality pop out for a second. And then
I'm betting Scarlet Harlot. Yeah,
probably because she was the one who popped out during the with Danny the Street party, right? That was with all the people over there, the denizens, and we see the creation of Jane, and it's a very clear Miranda. I kind of understand now where she's able to kind of go with the flow until she can. If she knows she needs to get out of a situation, she will after that. Or if she's kind of like letting the other personalities, even if they're kind of feeling a little wary of this guy, it's like, no, it will be okay. He is a good person. And while overall he seems okay, and then he does all this like really creepy shit and stuff at the end of the episode with pressuring her into being a part of this situation. And that's the moment where I understand who Jane is compared to Hammerhead, where it's like Hammerhead, she's the hammer. She's the one that she's the muscle. She's the one who's able to get to dole out punishment if she sees fit to protect Kay and the rest of the other personas. But Jane is the one who can just cut through the BS. Who's the one who's like, regardless of making friends, that does not matter to her whatsoever. Her priority is protecting Kay, and that's why she's threatened by Miranda, because Miranda's able to both do that and also be likable. So she realizes, okay, maybe that I don't have a purpose, but then Miranda kicks her down a well. So now we have to learn more about who Miranda is and what's in store and what's at the bottom of the well. It's not good.
It's not good. And it's interesting too, because even Cliff, I think it was last episode where Cliff is like, Miranda's great, and Miranda does project as great. Like, she's not yelling at people, she's a team player, she's helping out. You know what I mean? So you see what the appeal of Miranda is. And it is interesting. It feels like a little bit of retconning going on, because the impression the Underground episode gave me in season 1 was, because there's very specifically a scene with young Kay as she's ready to, her dad's calling her, and Jane splits off and goes with her, which seemed to imply to me that was the creation of Jane. And I guess now what we're saying is that was more of the creation of the multiple personalities as a concept. And then the very specific beginning of Jane is here, especially since Jane didn't know what the toy was. So Jane is comparatively newer than some of the other personalities. And you can see why, Miranda existed to help integrate Kay into the world. And Jane is a response to, maybe that's not so great, and maybe we should just dance to the beat of our own drum, as it were. It's interesting to see, and it is tough because you kind of know it can't work out well. Otherwise, Jane wouldn't be part of the Doom Patrol, or Miranda would still be around. But it's still sad to see play out. It's a rough scene. Yeah, it's a
And also when it comes to like Miranda killing herself or throwing herself down the well, this gives an explanation.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not like, condoning it, whatever. It's not doing that. It's just, you see from the beginning of season 2, you see Miranda for the first time. And Miranda was created, it looked like, when her mother was trying to pray the crazy away from her. It was like they were trying to baptize her. And Miranda played along.
Mm-hmm.
She played along until she could make that comment to her mom and then keep going.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of more malleable to different situations until they're able to get out of there. And like that, and it's I like that clear distinction between her and Jane. And when it comes to her throwing herself down the well in this, it's like she was protecting Jane, or protecting Kay and the other personalities really well, like genuinely really well. And and made them feel empowered and safe, and they could take care of themselves. And so when she asks them to take this risk for this party, even though they all feel uncomfortable, she feels heartbroken, and seeing a new personality pop up and do a better job at least protecting them and having to step up for Miranda's mess up.
Yeah,
I understand that, like, it's more fragile, like she's more fragile than she let on as a persona. But also that we learned that that's not Miranda. The Miranda we've been talking to is not Miranda. That Miranda from the past definitely died. Definitely, that persona is dead. I guess personalities has skeletons. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, right. They have.
They got. Yeah. I'm not really sure, but Jane is still alive down there at the bottom of the well, and possibly the other personas. Possibly.
Yeah, the other ones, Scarlet Harlot and Baby Doll and Flaming Katie, and there were a few other ones that kind of started vanishing. And we did determine that it was Flaming Katie that had been killed by Candlemaker. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So the Miranda says, "My sweet baby," which is the kind of like the call sign for the dad. And the dad showed up as like the puzzle piece monster in season 1. And so that is a personality that's in there, because it is not the dad. It is a part of Jane.
Great point. I didn't even remember that the puzzle monster came out of the well.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
And so the question is, and it's unfortunately a question that we're not going to get answered now, is that a part of Jane's personality, or is this something like Candlemaker that is worming its way through Jane? And it may even be the Candlemaker. It might even be like maybe Jane's abilities and Dorothy's abilities are more closely aligned than we know. It'll be interesting to. I mean, if we ever get. I mean, we have to get. Come on, we have to get a resolution. Like, even if they just finished the episode they were shooting after everything, kind of like we figure all this crap out. You know what I mean? We've got to get some sort of resolution to it.
I would very much like another season of this show, because this season was still like really good, like really solid all the way through, and this final episode was dope. Like, and so I was focusing on the Jane storyline because she basically immediately gets taken out, right? Like,
because she goes into one of her like seizing estates, and it is interesting too. I hope in the comic, in Grant Morrison's run, that run ends up with the personalities being integrated into a complex whole. And the impression we've been getting is the story Miranda's been giving is that the personalities are going away because Kay's getting better, which obviously is not the case. And they've just been vanishing as opposed to being integrated. And there's been a lot of talk of we need to protect the girl, we need to defend the girl. And whether the show means it or not, I feel like that's kind of an unhealthy perspective. Like you're trying so hard to contain your childhood. It's like, well, at some point you need to grow. Like at some point, like that would be the goal. I think that would be the ideal situation is you become, it's not so much about protecting the kid inside of you as it is becoming a functioning adult.
And she was hurt, and the personalities' jobs are to protect the girl. Yeah. But she's not a girl anymore. Yeah. That persona is still there, and she was severely stunted emotionally because of the abuse she endured. Yeah. But you would, again, please, I could be wrong, but I'm not saying that she should not grow and try to heal, but she hasn't really tried to heal. Yeah. They just try to make sure she doesn't get hurt again. Yeah. which is not the same thing as growing and changing and healing.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you want. That's what you want for the people that you care about, and all these Doom Patrol members care for each other quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that is a great point where it's like, not that they necessarily go away.
Yeah.
But the point is that Kay, the girl, needs to I guess maybe it's not accept, but move forward.
Yeah.
Or I guess it is accepting, and also moving forward. I guess it's not forgiving.
Yeah, definitely not forgiving. But yeah, just finding a way to, and all those, you can see how all those aspects benefit her, but all those aspects are parts of a person. So point is, I think, and especially with as hard as the show is hammered, the idea that each personality is unique, their own unique person. It'll be interesting if we do get more of the show, how they reconcile this in a story of growth and seeing that person grow and change. Because as Jane pointed out in the previous episode, she doesn't want to fade away. You know what I mean? And so I think the comic, the way the comic presented is, it's not fading away. It's integrating. It's becoming a whole. But I don't know if that quite clicks with the way the show has presented it. So it might have to find navigate its own trajectory in what growth looks like for Jane.
And I know with dissociative identity disorder, which I'm guessing is what we're associating this with. Years prior, this would have been multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
Which that has been pretty widely discredited as not a genuine mental disorder.
Mm-hmm.
A dissociative identity disorder would be the more true way of saying it, and it does manifest in ways similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously in fiction that gets exaggerated.
Yeah.
So with Jane, also David Haller, Legion over at Marvel.
Moon Knight upcoming to Disney Plus.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I do know when I was doing a little bit of research, actually it was when Split was coming out, I was like I was thinking about doing a video on what are some real cases of multiple personality disorders. That's what I searched. And it was like, I got into like this deep debate about the legitimacy of even the disease. And so I'm not going to have an opinion on that right now, but I do know when it came to dealing with people or dealing with those disorders, it kind of came down to identifying where that trauma spurred that personality or that disassociation and narrowing it down, as if I'm going to say it in the best way I can understand it. Again, not a medical doctor, not a psychologist. And I think that it's well worth doing your research because it is an interesting disorder. It's very unfortunate for people that do have it. And I don't want to do a disservice to people who have it, or to doctors who have worked to research or help people that have it.
Yeah.
So there you go. But it does come to a point of paring it down,
of
paring it down to whoever that person is, or kind of merging it all in a way.
I think, if we're being honest, you're no Dr. Cowboy.
Not Dr. Cowboy.
You're no Dr. Cowboy.
I definitely have. He's very much an enabler. They call him affirmations, but he's an enabler.
He's an enabler. I thought this was such a fun, the idea, moving away from the heaviness of Miranda's story to what the Doom Patrol's facing. This idea of, okay, we have a character like Dorothy that manifests imaginary friends. What if the whole team had to face their imaginary friends? It was such a fun, interesting, revealing premise. Like you mentioned, I guess Larry doesn't have one, which feels like a missed opportunity on two fronts. One, that he doesn't have one. Two, I thought they were going to set up he has to confront the entity. Yeah. That's his friend, and it's like, what? We're just saving ourselves some money and having one less imaginary friend to deal with.
I was actually okay that he didn't necessarily, because he found Willoughby, Willoughby had an imaginary friend, which was like
the
old, like,
Punch
puppets.
and Judy doll. Yeah.
And also, I did like Larry being the one that kind of like realized once you kind of step in the wax, it's already a trap. Like, you're already stuck. And once you engage with whatever this is, you're trapped. There's no way out of this necessarily. But I was bummed that we didn't get like him dealing with it, or if it was Negative Woman who came back, or anything like, or just dealing with whatever. I don't know what he was like as a kid. We don't know what Larry was like as a kid necessarily, but Rita's was really interesting. Mademoiselle Roxy, because it's I can imagine I've definitely seen those like cut out imaginary friends from like way back when, because I know like magazines, people would cut them out, or like those like paper dolls would come in magazines, and you cut them out and make your own. super creepy.
Yeah.
Has her mom's eyes, and them doing that tap number to kind of have to deal with it. And I love that, like, wow, our characters are growing, they're changing, they're improving themselves. It's like, but you guys are you're not winning this. You're actually playing in the game.
Yeah.
And any way you go, you lose.
Yep.
Even with Vic getting to the point of realizing that he can't be with Ronnie. He can't help Ronnie. He actually has to do something about Ronnie. Doesn't matter because he's talking to a literal devil who's helping him figure this out. And Vic, while confronting Jesus, that was just his imaginary friend for like 2 weeks at church camp, at Bible camp.
Yeah, that was really funny. But real quick, to be on Dr. Cowboy, one of my favorite jokes was he doesn't have guns. He just has these beakers and the gun holsters. Yeah. And Dr. Cowboy is such a great way to contextualize Cyborg. Again, like, Cyborg's a character that I think ever since he's been introduced in the Justice League and the New 52, people have like struggled with a way to like what his deal is. And this show has done such a good job of getting right to the heart of it, even to the point where his imaginary friend is Dr. Cowboy. It's like, yeah, that's perfect. And of course, Phil Morris is great. Phil Morris is, who also plays his dad, is always fantastic. But the moment we kind of talk about where he's like, no, advice, insight, judgment, that's your dad. I'm just here for affirmation.
Which is what he desperately needed.
Yes.
We've met his dad. His dad was not a great parent.
Listen, his dad will 100% tell you the truth. He'll be straightforward with you. Not necessarily the truth. He's not gonna bullshit you. But affirmation is not his bag.
And I like that. That's and I'm going to guarantee that Dr. Cowboy does not exist probably in any of the Doom Patrol runs.
I don't
guess.
think so. I didn't research that, but it was really telling about Vic. And also I really like the line of like, hey man, you want to let a woman get away with murder? Who am I to stop you? I'm not. And it was a good way to contextualize like, oh yeah, Vic should do something about Ronnie.
Yeah, you have to.
But the funniest bit, like you said, Cliff had Jesus as a friend for 2 weeks in Bible camp. One of my favorite bits was like, listen, we were so close in Bible camp, and then you just pretend like you never even knew me. You don't play Jesus like that.
And the actor that got him to play Jesus, he was very bro-y.
Yes.
Did a very good job with the role. Ripped off Cliff's arm.
Yeah, I think
really it broke his eye.
Yeah, I actually think this is probably the closest thing we've got to a real legit like fist fight action sequence on this show.
I think so. I mean, people think somebody tried to punch Cliff, but then he used those Nazis as like rag dolls and just like slammed them around that hallway, and that was pretty bad. That was pretty violent. Bad news bears. Yeah, I think you're right. This is the closest we've gotten to like a fist fight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go well for Cliff, even when he hugs it out with Jesus.
Yes.
And he talks about like he was like, yeah, my dad came back. Like I was really hoping he would be like the role model. That's what I wanted. You were there for me for just like those 2 weeks while my dad like was gone. Like you understand, like it totally makes sense in the psychology of these characters line up, like especially with Rita too.
Yeah.
About what she like looked up to in her mom. And but yeah, again, doesn't matter because they're not actually confronting anything. They're not confronting anything.
Yeah, they're not confronting anything. It's just a Candlemaker, which we've talked a little bit about, but I've been holding on to see where the show goes, and now we kind of don't know. So for those that aren't familiar, Candlemaker first showed up in Doom Patrol number 44 in 1991. It was created by Grant Morrison and Richard Case. And in the comics, Candlemaker is a concept from Chaos Magic called an egregore, which was basically like a communal consciousness taking shape. And specific, so I think to quote Wikipedia, like we all wanted to do in college, an egregore is an autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. And specifically, Candlemaker represents, in the comic, actually, Willoughby Kipling guesses this is what Candlemaker is. It's never like officially stated that this is what's going on, but this is Willoughby's best assumption, that the Candlemaker is our collective fear in the late 90s of World War III and the nuclear holocaust and stuff like that. And it wanted to come to the physical plane through Dorothy because Dorothy can manifest imaginary things into reality. So Candlemaker is not one of her imaginary friends in the comics. It's an entity trying to piggyback through her mind and then gets trapped by her psychic powers and uses the wishes as a way to escape. And it takes the shape of the Candlemaker because of an experience she had as a kid. And so that's where the Candlemaker comes from. I don't think that's where we're going in the show. It seems like it's been around longer because of Slava and her people and all that stuff. And so it seems like we're going a little bit of a different route. And maybe
I was led to believe that like her people created it.
Yeah.
But also it seems like when Slava shows up and Chief can see it, can see Slava, it doesn't seem necessarily like Slava wants what Candlemaker wants to happen.
Yeah, because she gives Dorothy a spear and it's kind of like, you're a woman now, you got to go kill this thing.
And she makes a big cool weapon like out of it.
Oh, yeah,
I don't even know what it is. Yeah,
she's like, I can make my own weapon. That was cool.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, the last episode might have been a really cool like astral plane fight where she gets to create whatever she wants because she can manifest whatever she wants if she focuses on it.
Could you imagine if like we're saving all our money all season for the final episode, and then you don't even get to don't even get it.
And Abigail Shapiro's been like waiting, like I gotta wear these teeth and this makeup for 10 episodes, but they're gonna get it's gonna pay off in a really cool way in the last and we didn't get it.
Yep.
And we didn't get it. Hey, you know what? I'm still excited. You know, like it is a cliffhanger with everybody just covered in wax. Cliff was exploded.
Yes, Cliff was very much exploded.
That's a classic Robot Man bit where it's just getting like I think in Gerard Way's new run when he kicked it off, Robot Man got hit by a car and he had to be rebuilt by Casey, which that'd be kind of cool to get Casey in one of these because they are teasing Danny maybe turning into like an ambulance like in Gerard Way's run, which I thought was a really good choice. I like the idea of Danny being an ambulance with Danny World and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about this off camera. It's just a bummer that this is the last episode because there's so many things left on the table. Dr. Cowboy mentions Ronnie. We also know Larry's trying to deal with his relationship with his son, grandson, and great-grandson.
Yeah.
As well as Cliff not going to the wedding. We have Jane trying to deal with Miranda, and we have Chief trying to deal with Willoughby and Dorothy and Candlemaker. It's like a bummer. And it's like I'm not even like mad. Like I'm not mad. Like it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just another unfortunate of this whole situation. But we did talk a little bit about this off camera, and I talked a little bit about this with Clark when she guested on the show. Fingers crossed that, because of this whole situation, a lot of networks are going to re-up with shows for second seasons because they're not able to really do a pilot season. So better go with stuff people already kind of know.
And enjoy maybe. Maybe they have good numbers.
Exactly. And of course, because HBO Max hasn't quite been able to have as much content as maybe it wanted because of this whole situation, it's really pressed Doom Patrol hard. So maybe that, combined with the fact that they have an almost completed final episode, might jumpstart the conversation for a third season. Hopefully, a third season maybe with a little bit more oomph behind it, because I did feel, as the season progressed, it did kind of feel like DC Universe was like, cool, we're going to give you a second season, but you're going to get less episodes and less money. And so it was kind of like, and also don't plan on a season 3. And so it's kind of like, okay, we got to do all the things we want to do in this season, but with less money because we don't know when we're going to get to do it again. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe HBO Max is able to step in and give them a little bit more bank. Could you imagine this show with Watchmen money? Anyway,
it'd be pretty cool.
It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. But I'm hoping that one of the unusual benefits of this is that it maybe helps edge us towards a season 3.
And I know in the first season we set up the brain. Remember that? And Mr. Mala and stuff. I mean, like if Mr. Nobody came back. Maybe it's not Mr. Nobody per se. Like I maybe don't have to retread everything, but I don't know what I want from a season 3. But like I do like what they've done for the most part in season 2. Again, I've mentioned this; it's not as weird, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Yeah. Like I think there's a lot of really good things in this season. A lot of stuff to love. The sex men. The also great recurring bit of the ghosts that are having sex that are just moving through the house. Like that was so I think that's great. I like seeing Larry and Cliff have to grow and actually get to interact with their kids. I like seeing Rita grow. I like Vic. While I do agree, I understand your notes on separating the team out too much. I do like seeing Cliff actually going out into like the quote real world, and then coming back to this world. And we do know that it is a weirder world with like superheroes, but the Doom Patrol is a weird place. But yeah, it does kind of feel like we're trying to deal maybe with interpersonal relationships with this, and not necessarily some of the overarching stories that were brought up in season 1. That maybe there might still be some threads to like tie up. I'm not really sure, but like it's not a bad season. I don't even think that season one's necessarily like better. I may have enjoyed season one a little bit more, but again, it's like I'm not like I feel like I'm trying to like weigh them and like see which one's objectively better, and I don't think one is. I enjoy both of them, and there still hasn't been. I haven't had a bad episode of the show yet. Like it's been okay, maybe.
Yeah.
At worst, it's okay, but like overall, like it's still like amazing performances, fantastic writing, honestly, really cool visuals this season too with Candlemaker. I'm really impressed. Like he looks awesome every time he shows up. And a more, I think I have a clear idea who Jane is.
Yeah.
And I like seeing, I just enjoyed it. And also Timothy Dalton was in every episode.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We got him, gang.
He's great.
Special guest appearance with Timothy Dalton, but he was here the whole time.
He's here the whole time. Yeah, I think for me, season one is overall tighter, but I still, like you said, I still really enjoyed this season with Sex Patrol and Space Patrol, and there's just a lot of good bits, and again, hopefully, season 3 under better circumstances that actually gets to finish its season. I would give this episode a 9. Really enjoyed it. I thought the idea and the idea of them fighting their imaginary friends is another thing that it's taking concepts from the comic, and because I don't think they fight their imaginary friends in the comic, like and taking it to a different level that energizes the show. I would give this episode a 9, and I would give the season overall, I think, an 8.5. Still really entertaining. Still want a season 3, but for me, it wasn't quite as tight as season 1.
I give both 9s, season and episode. I did really enjoy it. And I didn't even mention this, but when Herschel shows up, the spider, which I know you mentioned, Herschel was an imaginary friend, but it wasn't a spider, or you just didn't know.
No, Herschel's not in the comics at all, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a big spider. Like when you see him for the first time, it was a cool visual to see. But I did like that reveal once they get there. It's like, wait, Herschel got us to come here. You mean her imaginary friends? Like, no, yours. Like, I love that reveal. It was such a good one. So just basically saying exactly what you just said, but I enjoyed it as well.
Yes.
But
also, by the way, side note, I think Dorothy's imaginary friends in the comics are all kind of negative. So maybe Herschel was one like, hey, let's give her some fun one she actually likes to spend time with.
Yeah, we haven't even revisited that woman with the mirror face.
Yeah.
Which could have been in the last episode, like all of her imaginary friends coming to help.
That would
maybe
be cool.
She can imagine anyone she wants, or maybe Dr. Time comes back.
That'd be great.
I like him a lot. And also we teased Cliff being ripped apart by Chief. You know, like there was that tease, which we never got to, which was disappointing. And we don't know if Chief's going to die. You know, there's so much, there's so much that we didn't get to, which was disappointing. But gang, thank you so much for joining us for these reviews. We highly appreciate your support on this show, especially just coming from me. Just thank you so much for over these years. And thank you for listening to the podcast, watching our other reviews, our other content. Greatly appreciate it. And make sure you show some love to DJ at DJ Talks Trash everywhere that matters. And follow us at Only Stupid Answers on Twitter.
Yank out the vowels from stupid.
Yeah, listen to podcast episodes, do everything. If you enjoy this, support it however you can. And like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. DJ, any final thoughts?
No, I just, I'm really grateful to have been able to do these reviews with you. And I'm grateful that we got a chance that this show exists. And also, if you guys I think we've got another episode of Stargirl left to review, but once the DC Universe reviews are up, we're not getting movies in theaters or whatever. So if you've got suggestions for what kind of content you'd like to see on this channel, let us know.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
But thank you for your support. Thank you, DJ, for everything.
Yeah. Same to you.
I'll see you guys next time.
Or bye.
Wherever.
Yeah.